Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you. Welcome to Ticks Saturday edition, second video in a row. Before we get into Antifa in Portland, y'all hear about this? It jumped off today about Mark Sanchez getting stabbed up and arrested. I was just, make sure I gave myself something to eat. I was like, okay, let me chill out, see what's going on. And this came down the wire about Mark Sanchez. So let's read it. Mark Sanchez replaced for Raiders coach game by Brady Quinn after stabbing and arrest, courtesy of the New York Post. Fox Sports had to move quickly to find Mark Sanchez's replacement to broadcast Sunday's game after the former Jets quarterback was stabbed and later arrested in Indianapolis. Fox tapped Brady Quinn, who is a college football analyst for the network, to commentate the Week 5 matchup between the Colts and Raiders, according to Front Office Sports. Quinn, 40, spent 4 seasons as a quarterback in the NFL before moving to broadcast in 2019 because he sucked. Anyway, while mainly appearing on Fox's Big Noon Kickoff as an analyst, Quinn is also occasionally a color commentator for NFL games, along with serving as co-host of Blitz on Sirius XM Radio. The news of Quinn filling in on Sunday comes hours after Sanchez was part of a shocking incident at an Indianapolis bar. Sanchez, 38, was charged after allegedly getting into a violent brawl with a 69-year-old delivery driver who stabbed the ex-Jets quarterback's chest and claimed self-defense. The fight occurred outside of Low Miller's Pub and Eatery and started when Sanchez told the driver to move his car, according to Fox 59 CBS 4. The driver told police that Sanchez was aggressive, prompting the worker to stab him after using pepper spray was unsuccessful, the outlet reported. Police said Sanchez was taken to a nearby hospital before being charged with misdemeanor counts of battery with injury, unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, and public intoxication. There it is. He was drinking. We are deeply grateful to the medical team for their exceptional care and support, Fox Sports said in a statement. Our thoughts and prayers are with Mark, and we ask that everyone please respect his and his family's privacy during this time. Officials said that the driver, who has not been identified publicly, also suffered significant injuries from the altercation. In other words, he got socked up. Sanchez was reportedly uncooperative with officers responding to the incident, which occurred just after midnight, and had to undergo surgery for his stab wounds before his condition was upgraded to stable. Yeah, so apparently, based on the story that I heard, the guy was, Uber Eats, whatever, dropping off food. The guy beat Sanchez to the parking spot. Sanchez wanted the guy to get out of the spot. Dude was like, bruh, I'll be in and out. That was not enough for Mark Sanchez. So he got out of his car, started messing with the guy, getting aggressive, started pushing, swinging on the guy. The guy maced him. Mark socked him up. So the guy stabbed him in the chest, stabbed him up. People broke it up. They called the police. Mark didn't want to cooperate because he knew he was guilty. I mean, he was drunk or tipsy, whatever. And now he's about to be fired. Let's be honest. He's about to be fired. Like, you got arrested? First, you were drinking and driving. Then you get into it with a 69-year-old man who was delivering food. You put your hands on him. He maced you. You got more aggressive. He stabbed you up. Then you want to be uncooperative with the police? Bro, you gonna lose your job. Yeah, you gonna get that pink slip, bro. Yeah. Mark, you okay? Yeah. Okay, cool. The courier will be there in a moment. I just need you to sign those papers. Okay, and he'll leave with them. You're done, buddy. You're done. You'll have to get a job with Who is he working with? Oh yeah, he with Fox Sports. Yeah, he gonna have to get a job with ESPN. They'll hire you. Yeah, they'll hire you. Yeah, they'll hire you, Mark. Any rate, yeah, I had to buy those stocks from the last video. I had to get those stocks, the Lithium America, the Ameriresco, Lithium Americas, and Lithium Argentina. Yeah, I had to snatch them up, y'all. I had to snatch them up. But anyway, all right, so let's get here what we came for. I mean, I'm laughing because it's ridiculous, but in all honesty, he could have lost his life. Let's just be honest. I mean, be glad he okay. Glad that the old man is okay. The old man, of course, is gonna sue. He's gonna sue. If Mark is gonna lose that case, he might as well go ahead and have his lawyer just go ahead and try to settle with the old man now. Just go ahead and settle with the old man now, because I mean, he gonna slap you. He gonna slap you. I mean, Ben Crump is already over there. Oh yes, this was Latino on white violence. We must get the paper. We want 14 million. I mean, but I mean, when I told brothers last year when I was doing the Strictly Crime channel with Embrace Villainy, I'm like, yo, man, your ego gonna get you killed. Ego gonna get you killed. Ego, pride and ego. What they say, pride goeth before the fall. Yeah, your ego, pride and ego. You mad because you don't like somebody's tone? Like, what are you, a female? Wasn't that the problem that women had with Kevin Samuels? It's not his message, it's his tone. So now you tone policing too, like a female? You a black female? Well, I mean, it's what you were raised by. You don't jump bad with your boss. You don't jump bad with those that do jump bad with the police. Of course, you usually wind up with mugshots. You don't jump bad with nobody in authority, because that authority figure has the power to jam your ass up. But you want to jump bad with people in the street, and then you wind up getting clapped up, be it a knife, stick, or a gun. He go get you hurt. He go get you killed. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's deal with this. What's going on with Portland and Antifa?
Good afternoon, everyone. We are now in day 3 of the Democrat-led government shutdown.
She said
the
Democrats
continue to recklessly hold the American people.
Y'all heard that right? Democrat. D-U-M. Peep it.
We are now in day 3 of the Democrat-led government shutdown. The Democrats continue to recklessly hold the American people hostage over their demands to give illegal aliens free health care. Republicans are fully unified behind passing nonpartisan clean funding bill, the exact same bill that Democrats approved back in March to reopen the federal government. But those same Senate Democrats are now voting against this clean funding bill and keeping the people's government closed. I understand Democrats will have an opportunity very shortly here to change course, and we hope that they will. There are significant personal impacts on millions of Americans as a result of this current government shutdown. The 1.3 million men and women of America's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force who serve honorably and put their lives on the line to defend us all are not being paid. Military families are already seeking out food assistance because of financial anxiety caused by this Democrat shutdown. According to new reporting from the Military Times, staff members at the Armed Services YMCA food pantry distribution location near Fort Hood in Texas found a line of military families stretched around the side of the building yesterday at 5 in the morning. According to the staff who work there, that is, quote, not happened ever. They've already had a 34% increase this week over past weeks. President Trump and Republicans fundamentally believe we have a sacred responsibility to protect and provide for our military families with the resources they need to thrive. If Democrats believe in this very simple premise too, they should end this shutdown immediately. Unfortunately, the severe impacts of the Democrat shutdown extend beyond our troops. Nearly 7 million mothers, infants, and low-income families who rely on government-run food assistance will be in jeopardy if the WIC program runs out of money in the weeks ahead. The more than 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that Americans fly safely in airports across the country are currently working without pay. The National Flood Insurance Program is in danger of lapsing, which could leave families without necessary help if a disaster strikes, and we are in the middle of hurricane season. Critical services offered at Social Security field offices are reduced for senior citizens and disabled Americans. Helpful transition assistance programs are not being provided for veterans who fought to defend our country and are now trying to re-enter civilian life. The economic consequences of this shutdown are piling up every day. Policymakers, markets, and even the Federal Reserve are flying blind at a key juncture because BLS and BEA data are on hold until the government reopens. Democrats shutting down the federal government to give health care to illegal aliens could lead to lower growth and higher unemployment rates for Americans. According to a new memo from the Council of Economic Advisors, the U.S. economy could lose $15 billion of gross domestic product each week. Every single week, the Democrat shutdown extends, with a month-long shutdown leading to an additional 43,000 unemployed people. Small businesses are likely to encounter delays in receiving federal loans. Mortgage applications will likely shrink. And just this morning, Business Roundtable, an association of more than 200 CEOs of Americans' leading companies representing every sector of the U.S. economy, put out a statement urging Congress to pass the clean CR that will once again come before them in the Senate floor in just a few moments. Quote, a fully functioning government is essential for American businesses, workers, and consumers, while policymakers continue working on a full-year funding package and other pressing issues. Again, that is a quote from the Business Roundtable. What's clear is that the Democrats' actions account to an intentional sabotage of our country and our people by shutting down our government. This madness must end. President Trump and Republicans are calling on Democrats to reopen the government immediately on behalf of the American public. All we need are 5 Democrat senators to do the right thing and to stop this shutdown. Call your Democrat senator and tell them to vote yes to reopen the government. On another matter, despite the Democrat shutdown, President Trump's efforts to make America safe again continue. President Trump believes that American cities should be the safest places on earth, and he is committed to making this a reality. We've already seen that President Trump successfully made D.C. safe again in only a few weeks. That same crime crackdown will continue to happen in cities across the country and is happening in Portland, Oregon. President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by ANTIFA and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night. This is not peaceful protesting. This is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ICE field office in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign as a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox officers, berate their law-abiding neighbors, and have even rolled out a guillotine in front of the ICE facility. And more people should be reporting on that.
Yeah, people.
President Trump has sent federal law enforcement to protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that.
Yeah, like he let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find his where he got assaulted. Because that was crazy. He gets assaulted. He goes to defend himself. Then when he went and reported it to the Portland police, they arrested him. Let me see. They arrested him, talking about some, you were disturbing the peace. Like, are you kidding me? Then there's a video of this one reporter, Katie Davenport, because I've been keeping up on that, you know, through other people's channels. This one guy, T-Splat, and this other guy, they've been keeping an eye on that whole Portland situation. And they showed this woman, Katie Davenport, she's a citizen journalist. This chick took, you know, fat, weird-haired, you know, person, whatever. She hit the woman in the face with a flagpole, blacked her eye. So when she got the police was following the woman, followed the woman all the way up and up until he grabbed her, and then he turned around and let her go. Like, I don't understand why I'm even bothering trying to arrest her. Like, she assaulted this woman with a metal pole. She blacked her eye. This chick is on the news the next day with a big bruised black eye, showing the footage where the cop just really didn't do anything. And in all honesty, at that point, you need to start arresting these mayors and district attorneys and whatnot for aiding and abetting terrorists. Let me see. I can't find it. I'm gonna show you where this one guy, where he got arrested. Check this out. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Yeah, well, check this out. This little coward, little.
I fucking told you guys.
So apparently, what happened was the night before, like, they got sprayed with red paint or whatnot. So they told the Antifa people that's in charge, told these morons to spread the red paint all over their faces and whatnot to signify the blood that's on ISIS hands. So they said, okay. So once these people did this, because they had to take their masks off. So once these people did this, when they showed up the next day, this is what happened.
Hell yeah, bro. Fuck yeah.
And look at him shaking like a little bitch. Look at him shaking. Look at him shaking. He's scared shitless. They like him pudgy like you in prison, baby. They like him pudgy like you. Oh yeah. Mo cushion for the pushing. Anyway, let me stop cursing. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be professional. Anyway, so let's get to it.
The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it. With that, I'll take your questions, and we will begin today's briefing with our new media seat, Amanda Head from Just the News. Amanda, thank you for being here.
All right, hold on before they get to her. Let me find this Nick Sorter video. Let's see, hold on. I'm not trying to find a long one. Okay, here we go. All right, so here you go. I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Broke my camera by hitting that. So I was on the ground at that point. I tried to swing. I missed. I saw the opportunity to get up and get away. And that's when I went over to the police officers, which I thought, maybe they'd help me. But no, instead they threw me in handcuffs. This is going to backfire on them tremendously. It already is. Okay, people knew that something out here stunk and that it was corrupt and that the police they take the side of the violent criminals that are here every single day, assaulting ICE officers, assaulting journalists. And then a reporter comes and tries to embed deep within the chaos that's going in out here, and he's the one that gets arrested. So they threw a punch.
Yeah. So because he got arrested, and of course there's video evidence of him being assaulted, trying to defend himself, get away from the crowd that was swarming him. Plus there's a video of an ANTIFA member threatening to delete him, following him down the street to the point where like a sniper on top of the roof of the ICE building had to put the beam on him. And he was telling them, dude, there's a beam on you. Like, the sniper got you. I don't care. And it's like the Portland police refuse to do anything. And they sit up here talking about well, it's just one city block. I'm sorry. Why are you allowing terrorism to happen on one city block? One city block is one city block too many. Just like Brandon Johnson. Well, we only had, instead of 600 murders, we only got 400 murders. Oh, so 400 murders is okay then. Is that what you're saying? Like, man, stop. Like, what are you people talking about? But let's get back to this. But what happened was, of course, it's the digital age, and this Trump administration is all over social media. So, of course, Trump saw that. He told Pam Bondi to get off her tail and do something. So now she's reportedly investigating the Portland Police Department concerning that situation. But of course, we got our California cutie here. Let's see, we got our front row folks. Peter Ducey, he's here. Let's see here. Of course, you got the brother right here, the other brother right here. Of course, you got your sister right here. You don't see, I haven't seen, oh, here you go. Here's the chick that normally wears the nice outfits, but with the messed up shoes. Okay, all right, she seems to be matching the day. At least I think that's her. But all right, so let's get into it. Let's see the question. But yeah, I think they're done. I think, in all honesty, the mayor and the chief of police in Portland, I think Trump's going to make an example out of them before he starts heading over to Chicago, Denver, and then, of course, California. Let's go.
On that most recent topic that you mentioned, reportedly Portland police have not been able to engage protesters to the degree that they normally would. Does the president plan on handling this from that angle as well with city leaders?
Yes. From our understanding in the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that, unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city to restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C. And all of you live here, so you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can and must be working together. And we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor of Portland were to call him right now and say, Mr. President, please help us, I am sure the president would be willing to do that. He is genuinely serious about wanting to restore order in America's cities. But it's become apparent that the local and elected officials in Oregon do not feel the same. And that's very unfortunate for the people who live there.
And then one more question on the government shutdown. Should there be some type of scheduled layoffs to maybe entice Democrats to come to the table, like every hour another agency, another 100 pink slips? I'm sure Russ Vought has a list of folks ready to go?
Well, look, the Office of Management and Budget, as we've said repeatedly, is working with the agencies and our cabinet secretaries to identify where cuts unfortunately can and have to be made. And again, we understand there's another vote happening on the Senate floor in an hour. Maybe if Democrats do the right thing, this government shutdown can be over. Our troops can get paid again. We can go back to doing the business of the American people. But if this shutdown continues, as we've said, layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that. And Russ Vought has been in contact with our cabinet secretaries at their respective agencies to discuss that. Thank you, Amanda. Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
You've talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly? And if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still be on the table?
Look, as I just stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made and where cuts have to happen. But again, the Democrats have an opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government. That is all this administration and the president is asking for. Vote for a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. During the campaign,
Thank you, Peter.
Y'all are stupid.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vought tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing the race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds. And in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
Yeah, because Brandon Johnson set up here, he's just awarding business licenses to Black business owners while canceling out the licenses of white business owners. Like, okay, like let's say like you, because this happened to my aunt back when she had this restaurant called the Chitlin Strut. Yeah, back in the 80s, back in Cleveland. She was making a lot of money. White guy owned the building. The white guy owned the building. She had the business license and everything. And within that year, she was turning a profit, you know, because my aunt was well respected in Cleveland at the time, you know. So, you know, she always had, I mean, she just stayed busy. At any rate, the white guy who owned the building, he wanted to partner up with her. She was like, no, thank you. I'm fine. Because he saw she was turning a profit. So when her lease was up, he didn't allow her to renew her lease. Do you understand? I mean, Brandon Johnson is not only, he's doing that tactic as well as canceling out when these people go to renew their business licenses, instead of, unless it's of course they don't own property, but that business license is no different than your lease. So he canceled out her lease, and then when she had to leave, he opened up the same restaurant right there in that same spot. Of course, he had to change the name. Like, you know, she sold chitlins, Polish boys, chicken wings, you know, the regular. So he charged himself trying to do the same thing. But when people realized that it was no longer my aunt's business that was there, it was owned by a white guy on the east side of Cleveland, 142nd and Miles. For those of y'all that are familiar with Cleveland, 142nd and Miles in the 80s, they was like, oh, no, thank you. It went belly up in about 6 months. Brandon Johnson is doing the same thing to white business owners. He's not renewing their business licenses, but he's turning the business licenses over or getting black businesses to open up there. Meanwhile, you've got all these stores, both big chain and mom and pops, that are shutting down in Chicago because of the crime. You know how the swarm crime where they come in 10, 20 deep, snatch the stuff off the shelves and off the racks and run out and everything. Oh, insurance will cover it. No, they won't. Insurance only covers but so much. And your premiums go up. It's no different than when you get in a car accident. Your premiums all of a sudden double. No difference. So the businesses just find that it's better to shut down. That's why you lost all 4 of your Walmarts. You lost about 4 or 5 regular grocery stores. You're losing Foot Lockers, Macy's, all of these stores, all of these big chain and small business stores are shutting down in Chicago because of the crime and the tax laws. Because somebody got to feed the illegals. I'm creating jobs for black kids. Man, these kids that are out here and these shiesties ain't trying to work no little rinky-dink 20 hours a week, 9 to 5. The hell? These kids are pretty much have become hardened criminals at this point. You've been letting them do it for 4 years. And you slap them on the wrist every single time. So hell no, we're not sending you any money so you can push your DEI programs that are failing badly. Get out of here.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about.
I'm a football guy. I heard Bad Bunny's doing the Super Bowl halftime performance. I think the NFL is being very stupid. I think they're cutting off their noses to spite their faces. Like what? Like seriously, you couldn't hire an American artist? You couldn't hire an American artist. I mean, Taylor Swift is supposedly the top of the charts. You can't get her. What? Beyonce busy? You can't get anybody? You can even get a classic. Lionel Richie's still alive, right? Throw him out there on the piano. Is Stevie Wonder still kicking? Throw him out there with the piano. Throw some classic. Get a classic artist. Toni Braxton. Come on, girl. Get you in shape. Get you in the gym. Warm up those vocal cords. But you're gonna get a Spanish-speaking artist that nobody in America even knows who he is, at least not from the Gen Pop. Whatever. I mean, we don't watch the halftime shows now anyway. They're garbage.
As ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country.
Kate, did the president and Russ vote decide yesterday in their meeting which cuts they wanted to make to agencies and which ones would be permanent?
Again, I've kind of answered this question a few different times now. It's been asked in a few different ways. Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
And on Hamas, the president said that if Hamas rejects the proposal, that Netanyahu would have his full backing to finish the job. A UN report found that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Does the president have concerns about the civilians being killed, the worsening humanitarian crisis, and are there limits to what the White House would support when it comes to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Look, the president has deep concerns about all of the atrocities that have taken place in the Middle East over the past few years. It's deeply unfortunate that he inherited this mess from the Biden administration. If you all recall, under President Trump in his first term, the Middle East was on a pathway for peace and prosperity. There was the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Israel was on a path to normalization between Arab and Gulf nations, and we hope that can continue. But right now, the president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you, I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic. Michael.
Thank you, Karoline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions, these strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels and these boats, consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and the chief executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American homeland. And he also promised the American people he was going to end the drug epidemic that has taken far too many American lives. And you're seeing those actions play out almost every single day here.
Last question.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really going to quote unquote war with a nation, although Venezuela is a drug nation like Mexico, but you're going to war with their criminals. And that's not necessarily really a war, because I mean they're bombing plantoon boats that Skeeter and Bubba be driving through the Florida Everglades and the swamps of Louisiana. I mean, these are their drug boats that we see getting bombed. So I mean, what war? You know, what war? This is like you going to war with an ant colony in your backyard, or mosquitoes, you know, on your patio. You're not necessarily going to war because they're a nuisance. Whatever.
On the shutdown, Karoline, Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline. You spoke earlier about the energy and infrastructure projects that Director Vogt paused. Will the White House agree to restore that funding as part of the deal to end the shutdown?
Well, I won't make any agreements here. Senate Republicans are talking with their colleagues on the Democrat side But right now, Russ Vought is doing what he's been tasked to do in the midst of this government shutdown, which is to look at funds that need to be temporarily halted or need to be canceled. And Chicago is just another example of that.
Karoline.
Go to Libby in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions for you. One on the FDA, but first on the shutdown.
Sure.
Will the administration, if this government shutdown ends, still move forward with firing thousands of federal workers?
Look, as I've said
Insider.
repeatedly, Libby, right now we want the government to be open. Layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of a government shutdown, and it's something the administration is examining. If the government is reopened, we're going to get back to doing what we were doing last week and the week before, working on the issues that the American people care about.
And then on the FDA, they just approved that new abortion pill, and it's causing a lot of uproar among the Republicans. What is the president's response to that, and does the administration plan to have that full that FDA approval?
Well,
I
the
couldn't find it,
Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy, has put out several statements on this. The HHS's decision, it's not an endorsement of this drug by any means. They are just simply following the law. And as they put out in their statement, by law, the Secretary of Health and Human Services must approve a generic drug application if the application demonstrates the generic drug is the, quote, same as the brand name drug. Generic applicants are not required to submit independent evidence proving safety and effectiveness. As such, FDA's decision to approve a second generic version does not address the merits of the current safety program. HHS is reviewing adverse effects to ensure the FDA's required safety program for the drug is sufficient to protect women. This safety review equally applies to generic versions of this drug. So FDA and HHS are following the law. It's, again, not an endorsement of the drug itself. Mary.
Thanks, Karoline. Two questions on the shutdown. You've argued that these impending layoffs are necessary to keep essential services up and running, but that has never been the case in any previous shutdown. Even when the government was shut down for 35 days in Trump's first term, you've never had to lay off thousands of workers to keep essential services up and running. So why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
And you just said this is an unenviable choice, that this is an unfortunate consequence, but the president has described this as an unprecedented opportunity to lay off additional workers. He's posted a video likening Russ Vought to the Grim Reaper. So which is this? Is this an opportunity to fire more workers or an unfortunate consequence?
Look, the president likes to have a little fun every now and then, and I think both things can be true at the same time. The Democrats have given the administration this opportunity, and we don't like laying people off. Nobody takes joy in that around here. And if you think that, then I think that's very sad. You view the White House and our staff as wanting to put people out of work. Nobody wants to do that, but sometimes in government you have to make tough decisions. Carrie.
Going back to Portland, as far as the city council there is concerned, they appear to be very sympathetic towards the protesters over at the ICE facility. Is the White House considering invoking the Insurrection Act over in Portland? Is that something they are considering? Also, as far as the Portland City Council is concerned, are they looking at the members there who are appear to be helping out the protesters as far as suggesting to get burner phones, et cetera, et cetera?
That's not something I've heard that's under consideration or discussion at this time.
Caroline.
Caroline, is ever yelling in the back? Go ahead.
Me? Sure. Thank you. Bianca Gracia here.
Hold on, before she asked that question, what she was saying was, this chick right here, she was saying that you have Portland officials, they are on record, one of them is on record telling Antifa to get burner phones so that way ICE can't track them. That's aiding and abetting terrorists, because Antifa has been labeled a terrorist organization. That's aiding and abetting. That's a criminal offense. She should be arrested for that. Her and anybody else that echoes that sentiment, they should immediately be arrested for that, for aiding and abetting terrorist activity.
And I have a question. This week, the Democrats have chosen illegals over hard-working Hispanic Americans during Hispanic Heritage Month, causing the White House to cancel the celebration with the president. Is the president open to letting the Hispanics, who overwhelmingly voted for him, have their own siesta fiesta in the White House lawn opposed to the fancy, we don't need fancy, right? You can give us the backyard and we'll fill it all in and having our own fiesta. Is the president open to that?
I had no idea she was going to ask that question. I just want to preface that. I've never met you.
With fire and passion. That's a Hispanic woman for you right there.
But welcome to the briefing room. I love your energy. I can't personally unilaterally promise the South Lawn grounds. We have some construction going on out there. But I know that everyone here views it as very unfortunate we had to cancel or hopefully just reschedule the Hispanic American Heritage Month event. And it's because we are working around the clock during this government shutdown. When the Democrats vote to reopen the government, that event will be back in the planning stages.
Well, you know what? And that's why, like, when I spoke about Juneteenth, I'm like, Juneteenth needs to not be a national holiday the way that the federal government treats national holidays, because what happens is all of a sudden they start selling you merchandise and it's watered down and now it's under federal control and they can take it away from you. Like, why do we need the federal government to tell us that this is our holiday? We already made it our holiday. We've already made it our holiday. We don't need them to rubber stamp our holidays. Look at Kwanzaa. I mean, no matter what you think about it, I mean, look at it. The only beauty that we like about MLK Day is what? It's a paid day off. Look at Black History Month. Black History Month, you get the same old tired, we were slaves. I'm building me a home. That same old Frederick Douglass crap. Like that. This all we got? This all we got from slavery to Section 8 housing? Like, what is this? The basketball players and entertainers? Like, no, we need to take control of our own holidays and celebrate our own heroes. Not what they pump out in the public school system and show on local TV. This black man invented the cotton gin. A gang of you know what I'm saying? No, get it out of their hands. That's why her asking that question, I get it. Like, hey, we don't need the fancy smancy stuff. We'll show up with our own tents and fiestas and coronas and limes and barbecues and tacos and hold our own stuff. But like Caroline told her, like, well, there's construction over there. Because remember, Trump is using his own money to build those ballrooms in the White House. So that's why there's construction over there. That's why they put all of those gates up and everything, the unclimbable gates and everything, to keep people from coming over there. The White House is in a vulnerable position right now because of that construction. So, it's just added security. Like, so, I mean, we can't hold it there, but I mean, we got rid of crime. You can go to any of these local parks. Just get a permit. We'll gladly give you a permit. We want you to go out to the parks and hold your little parties and everything. You don't need to come here. Go over there. Go across the street. We're not stopping you.
Brian, go ahead.
Much. Welcome to the briefing room, by the way. I was with the Secretary of War and the Attorney General in Memphis just the other day as they were going to a command center. And I noticed a billboard along the highway that said, Memphis welcomes the National Guard. Now, what is your message today to Democrat mayors watching us right now that suffer from TDS and they cannot get Trump out of the way to saving their city, Portland being one of them?
They should do the right thing by their citizens, Brian. They should call the president. They should call the White House and say, we want to work with you. And in Memphis, we are seeing some cooperation. As you saw from that billboard, the people of Memphis are loving this, and they are very grateful for the federal government's efforts. And federal law enforcement is there We're working alongside local law enforcement. We'd like to see it ramped up a little bit because we want to make progress and we want to arrest as many bad criminals as we can. Since Monday, I do have some updated statistics from the Homeland Security Council this morning. Since Monday, 153 arrests have been made in Memphis, including 5 gang members. 48 illegal guns have been seized, and 5 missing children have already been recovered. Last night, 60 arrests were made and 21 illegal firearms were seized. Arrests from last night include a suspect wanted for rape of a child under 13, first-degree murder, breaking and entering, aggravated assault, illegal drug possession, and many more. So we continue to see good results coming in through Memphis, and the president is very excited about making Memphis safe again. In the blue.
Thank you. At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the messaging.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want and still want to this very second is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for illegals program. Those are things that we ended, the Trump administration ended with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024. And I have a chart here for you, and I'm more than happy to email it to you. I'd also like to add, because some were asking dishonest questions yesterday about emergency rooms. In Southern California, according to healthcare professionals in 2023, under the Biden administration, Southern California's, quote, entire healthcare system was being bombarded with illegal immigrants and forcing American patients to endure longer wait times. In Denver, Colorado, the CEO of Denver Health stated that 8,000 illegal immigrants made 20,000 visits to the city's health system in 2023, leaving an uncompensated bill totaling over $10 million. So when a legal alien goes to the emergency room, who's paying for it? The American taxpayer. The main safety net hospital in Denver had to turn away patients due to the massive influx of illegal immigrants into the community. And UC Health Hospitals in 2024 reported their system was under stress from an increasing number of migrants. As a result, according to the head of emergency departments and urgent cares across the hospital system, quote, access is impeded for everyone. These are healthcare professionals who dealt with this directly, and there's a lot more where that came from. It is an undisputed fact that Democrats want to give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal immigrants, period.
And they dump these illegals in poor black neighborhoods, by the way. They dump these illegals in poor black neighborhoods. They don't dump them in white, affluent neighborhoods. Where do you think they reside? Where do you think they reside? Pushing you out. But you out here trying to fight ICE like a dumbass.
Yeah, thank you, Karoline. Is the president talking directly to Democratic senators to try and get their vote for a clean CR?
the Senate Republicans are speaking directly with moderate Democrats. I understand those conversations have become very serious, and we hope positive in the right direction so that Democrats will do the right thing.
I don't know if you saw overnight a refinery in California went up in flames. Is the president going to help the governor should gas prices spike, or could he help the governor?
Look, I know the administration and the White House are aware of that situation that took place. I don't have any announcements for you yet on that.
Has the president seen the first draft of the commemorative coin that the Treasury is doing for the 250th anniversary? It has his face on it.
Oh, I'm not sure if he's seen it, but I'm sure he'll love it. Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline. It's now being reported that former President Biden's DHS and TSA placed peaceful January 6th protesters and even Americans who refused to wear masks during COVID onto watch lists usually reserved for terrorists. Most of these people were not charged with crimes. Does the White House have a comment on the prior administration violating the free speech and due process of these Americans? And where is the outrage from the left that claims to stand for due process and free speech? And after that, I have another question about protecting journalists from ANTIFA.
Sure. Well, Kara, to your first point, please send me that report. That's certainly very concerning. I haven't seen it myself, but if indeed that was happening, it's something I'm sure the Department of Justice and the FBI would deem worthy of looking into.
Well, and journalists, as you mentioned earlier, are being increasingly attacked by leftist protesters. I was actually assaulted outside of President Trump's United Nations speech. And I think the White House is aware that a Portland journalist was almost blinded by an Antifa protester. This has been a problem that's gone on for years, and police often say that their hands are tied. Does the White House have a plan or plan on issuing a statement, maybe discouraging this violence against journalists out on the street like me and so many others in this room?
Well, I hope that my statement earlier in the briefing served that purpose. But of course, we condemn violence against anyone in this country, and journalists as well, who are exercising their First Amendment right. And there have been so many incredible independent journalists across the country who have gone undercover within Antifa and really have come to understand how this is a growing domestic terrorism threat inside of our country. And I would encourage maybe some of you in this room to get outside the Beltway and go do some of that undercover investigative reporting, because it is really incredible what they found. I met with one of them in my office yesterday, and they're doing very dangerous work in difficult circumstances. And Antifa is a very violent group, as you've experienced and that many others in the media have as well. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Following up on Libby, sort of on the other side of the abortion debate, has the president abandoned his campaign pledge to mandate insurance coverage for IVF services?
No.
Was there any update on that? We flew by that May EO deadline for the White House to produce a plan.
I literally just read a statement from the Health and Human Services on you, for Libby at least, as far as IVF goes. I'll check in with our policy team and we'll get you some updates.
How concerned is the White House that the Russian Navy seems to be escalating its provocation of NATO allies? I'm talking, of course, to the several close calls they've had with the Danish military during the EU leaders meeting in Copenhagen.
It's something the administration takes very seriously, and we are constantly monitoring it. The National Security Council here at the White House is in constant correspondence with our NATO allies, and the president speaks to many of them as well.
Yes. We've seen a spate of gun violence in this country, both mass shootings. We've seen this Michigan church that was attacked, children being shot in pews in Minnesota. We've also seen politically motivated assassinations of Minnesota lawmakers, Charlie Kirk. Has any of this made the president or the White House rethink gun safety prevention in this country? Either red flag laws, I know that was a conversation in the first Trump administration, or is there anything on the table right now on gun violence?
Of course, this is an extremely pressing issue for the administration in our entire country. It's deeply alarming to everyone here, the violence that we've seen taking place all over the country, the assassinations that have unfortunately, tragically taken place throughout the last several months. There are many discussions about how to prevent such violence and how we can ensure that law enforcement has the resources they can on the ground to not only respond, but again, to prevent such tragedies from taking place. If there are red flags with an individual in a community, that they are treated as an emergency, a public safety emergency, not just, turn a blind eye to. There's many other things we can do, but the administration and the president has always also made it clear he's always going to protect the constitutional right, Second Amendment constitutional right of Americans to own guns.
For Congress to pass a federal red flag law. Right now, they just incentivize states financially to have red flag laws. But I know Lindsey Graham has worked on this as a Republican. There are some Republicans that do support this kind of gun safety legislation.
I don't want to get ahead of the president on any congressional action or any suggestion to Congress on that matter. Andrew.
Thank you, Caroline. Two things. First, to follow up on something you said earlier about hospitals treating undocumented or illegal aliens. Is it the administration's position that hospitals should not have to treat people who come into the emergency department who are not here legally?
No, that's not our position. Our position is that it's completely unacceptable that the Biden administration paroled and encouraged an invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country and then promised them free health care. And the Democrats are on the record repeatedly stating that they believe illegal aliens should have healthcare benefits, free healthcare benefits in the United States of America. So that is a recipe for a disaster. Of course, you're going to encourage a mass illegal invasion of our country, which is exactly what happened. And we've seen the unfortunate consequence of that, where American patients are being put last, where American patients are having to wait in wait rooms, where grandmothers and grandfathers are waiting hours and hours for care because they're being put behind the line to illegal aliens. And we don't agree with that. We don't support that. That's why the administration is desperately trying to fix it and deport the tens of millions of illegal aliens that the Democrats and the Biden administration allowed into our country. And we'd love to continue doing that work so long as the federal government is reopened. And there are many federal law enforcement agents and officers right now who are working without pay. That's unacceptable. The Democrats need to reopen the United States government, and we hope that they will do the right thing on the Senate floor in just a few moments. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so there it is. And of course, in Portland, you're starting to see the National Guard. They're arresting people left and right out there because the Portland police refuse to do it. In fact, I think their tactical response team, the Portland tactical response team, I believe they all quit. Let me double check that. Oh, I want to be sure. Hold on. Let's see here. No, okay. All right. So apparently that's a story from last year. Well, that's why we check. Let's see, anytime. Let's see past week. Let's go be sure. No. Okay. Yeah. So nothing. All right. But so I guess that's not true. But before we go, write these numbers down or these letters down. Take a look. Tell me what you think. All right. LAC, LAR, AMRC, PAAS, and STLD. Check those stocks out. Like I'm not saying buy them. I'm just saying take a look. Tell me what you think. Let's get out of here. Catch y'all later.